Hey guys, Chicago injury lawyer Scott DeSalvo here, and in today's video I'm going to answer a viewer's question. He had a very complicated series of questions, so I told him to give me a call, but I think there's some confusion. What I think is, it was a paragraph and there were like 4 very detailed questions in there that I couldn't answer generally in a comment section, or I didn't have enough information about his particular situation to shoot a video explaining his exact situation. But reading some of his questions, it appears to me that he has a question about the difference between the settlement offer and what the law says he's entitled to in his workers' comp case. So I guess that's the title or the topic of today's video. What if there's a difference between the settlement offer and what the law says I'm entitled to, right? So in his situation, it sounds like there was an amputation. He might have lost a hand or a finger. And also, if you've watched my other videos, you get PPD at the end of the case, which stands for permanent partial disability. And that's a lump sum money, amount of money which represents the change in your body, the change in your body's ability to function, right? And then I think he also had questions about like the other things he's entitled to. So pretty much, as far as I know, this is the case in Illinois, and this is pretty much the case in most states. You're entitled to 2/3 your pay or something like that while you're off work with a doctor's note. Always get a doctor's note every visit. Give it to your lawyer, give it to the workers' comp insurance, give it to your employer. Text it to them or whatever, email it to them, whatever you got to do. Or drop off paper copies if you're not good with texting or email, okay? The other thing you're entitled to is medical care. Now, different states have different rules. In Illinois, if you're hurt in Illinois, then you probably have an Illinois workers' comp case if you were on the clock. And that means you're entitled to your choice of doctors, right? But you only get 2 choices of chains of referrals of doctors, okay? So you can't go doctor, 4th, 5th, 6th opinion unless you're getting referred to those doctors, right? So in other words, if you go to the first doctor, then you get a second opinion from the second doctor, then you go to a third doctor. In theory, the third doctor is not part of those first 2 doctors you had a right to see. So any treatment by him or any treatment he refers you to is not going to be related. Same scenario, Doctor 1, Doctor 2, Doctor 2 refers you to another doctor, that doctor refers you to therapy. Because it's all within the chain of that second doctor, chain of referrals, it's going to be considered part of your 2-doctor rule in Illinois. Other states do have different rules. Other states often require that you treat at a pre-approved provider and things of that nature, so be aware of that. And that's why I tell people, answers in comment section and videos can only be so specific unless I've actually spoken with you and we know all the details. And then at that point, we shouldn't shoot a video. And I'll caution you guys again, don't put too much personal information in a comment section. Instead, call or send a private email or something like that, because anything you say in the comment section is going to be discoverable by the defense, by the respondent's attorney, by the insurance company. So keep your personal information private. General questions, okay, but if it's personal or private, give me a call instead, okay? So, where were we? The last thing you're entitled to is that money that's TTD. Now, there's such a thing in most workers' comp acts, and again, workers' comp acts are state-specific. So Illinois has its law, Pennsylvania has its law, New York has its law, California has its law. The laws are different state to state. But there's something called a statutory loss in almost all states, I believe, but certainly in Illinois. And so if you have a loss, which amputations and things of that nature can be statutory losses that override that override other aspects of the comp case. Okay, so if you have an amputation and there's a provision in the law for a statutory loss of a body part if it's amputated, then that's what you get. That's usually how it works. So my point is, if your injury falls within a statutory loss under your state's workers' comp law, you need to know about it, okay? Because it can limit what you get, or it can be like a stated amount for any particular loss. Now, well, not a stated amount, but it tells you what the amount is, okay? So, the other part of this really is, what happens if you are in a situation where you're like, okay, they're offering me $50,000 flat, but they owe me $38,000 in back wages, my TTD, temporary total disability, time lost from work, and according to what I see, I hurt my neck, my shoulder, and my hand, and according to the calculations that my lawyer told me, we would be entitled to, $100,000 for that. So I should be getting $138,000, not a $50,000 offer. Well, this is where having a good lawyer you trust, who knows the law, comes in, right? Because whether it's workers' comp or a car crash or any other kind of case, if you go to trial and lose, you get nothing. And so your lawyer is going to know what your chances are. And that's one of the most valuable things you hire a lawyer for. I recently withdrew, I fired a client. I withdrew from a client in a case that was, without going into too much detail, the case was literally impossible to prove. And I told her up front, this is an exceptionally difficult case to prove, but I will take it for you. She was actually referred by a friend. So, I told her, look, I'm going to help you out. I'll do what I can do for you. I'll see what I can do, okay? And we got to the point where I had several conversations with the business owner, and they had no insurance at the time. They went out and got insurance after the fact, but at the time of the crash, they had no insurance. The lady sent me the list of insurance providers. She sent me her expired insurance policy and, swore up and down it, and was willing to sign an affidavit saying that she didn't have insurance at the time and that she was waiving statute of limitations if it turns out that she later discovered that, or anybody ever discovers that she did have insurance at the time. So my point is, if we ever found out that there was insurance, we could go back and sue her anyway, even if it's 10 years from now, right? And that's how, I believe the lady. I'm not infallible, but I've been doing this for 25 years, and I've had plenty of people bullshit me. So I have a pretty good bullshit detector, and this lady was scared. She ran a small business, and I believed her. Now, could she have been scamming me? Sure. But there was no law saying that she had to file insurance with the state to run that business. So there was literally no way but her word for us to know. And I told the client. The other thing, it was a small case. So the case was small. If we went to court, it's almost impossible to prove. And we have no insurance. And I still got an offer for her on the case. So I contacted the client and told her, look, it's not the best offer in the world, but it's a cash offer. This lady's going into her pocket to pay this offer, and I'm satisfied that she doesn't have insurance. And the client was not happy about it, and then wrote me a long email pretty much ignoring everything we spoke about, telling me it's ridiculous and she has insurance and she's not going to stop until she goes to court and blah, 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 blah. And I tried explaining to her again. I'm like, listen, with no insurance, an impossible case to prove at trial. In other words, even if she had insurance and we went to trial, in that case we had less than a 50% chance to win. And I'm a really good lawyer, and I'm overconfident when it comes to my ability to win a trial. And I told her, because this was somebody referred to me, a friend who was referred to me, and I just told her, I'm like, look, take the money. And then she wrote me another long email, angry email telling me, it isn't fair and blah, 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 blah. And I finally just told her, look, go find another lawyer. I spent a lot of time on that case. All of this example, the purpose of this entire example is just to let you know that the settlement offer you get in a case can be completely different than the actual case value, right? So if your lawyer thinks if you're going to go to trial and lose the case, but he can get you 50 grand, and your lawyer can articulate the reasons why, it's not just that your lawyer is afraid to go to court, or maybe your lawyer never went to court, I don't know. Maybe your lawyer just isn't good at trying cases or isn't confident about their ability. That's not a good reason. A lawyer can always refer your case out or bring in an attorney to help them try the case. But if they can articulate good reasons why, if you go to trial, you have a good chance to lose, then it's time to settlement. And settlement means compromise. And so it's no different than haggling over buying a used car, right? So some guy gets a used car, puts a coat of wax on it, vacuums out the interior, shampoos the interior, fixes everything up, makes it look pretty, and then lists it for, let's say, $25,000. Somebody walks onto the car lot, they look at it, they say, well, it looks pretty, but it's used, it's got a lot of miles on it, looks prettier than it is, we'll offer you 10. Well, if the owner of the car said 10, that's an insult. I'll never take it, to hell with you, or, we're done. I'm not even talking to you anymore. You're never going to get that case settled, because when the owner of the car listed it for $25,000, he or she knew they weren't going to get $25,000. They asked for $25,000 so that they have room to negotiate down. So you can't get offended by an offer. What if we knew that the engine of the car we were selling was burning oil and it was about to seize up? In other words, the engine was about to fall out of the car. But we made it pretty and we shined it up and we made it look as nice as it can. And the guy who's selling the car for you tells you, look, anyone who knows what they're doing is not going to pay over $15,000. And this guy just offered us $15,000, so I think you should take it. That's the exact same thing as negotiating a settlement in a workers' comp or a PI. So on paper, somebody might owe you $138,000 on a case, but if you're likely to go to trial and lose, then you got to negotiate down from the 138. So what the Workers' Comp Act says about what your damages are and what you're entitled to becomes like a starting point for negotiations, but there are many, many reasons why a lawyer or somebody who knows what they're doing will recommend to you that you compromise and take a much lower settlement. So I think that was sort of a topic. I think that's sort of what the guy was getting at in his comments. Obviously, I couldn't answer all of his questions. He had multiple questions, and I didn't have enough information about his case to really answer it all in a video or even explain it to him in the comments section. I told him to call me. But I think it sounds to me like he might be considering a settlement, and every aspect of his damages isn't included in the settlement. Now, when a case is really challenging and the insurance company is disputing every part of the case, there's a thing called a lump sum settlement, right? So instead of them making a separate payment for your lost wages and then sending payment to all the doctors and then a lump sum settlement at the end of the case, They do a totally disputed settlement where they give your lawyer a lump sum of money, and that's to compensate for everything. The unpaid bills, the TTD, the PPD, everything, right? And that's common. It's a common offer in cases where there's a big dispute about what happened, how you got injured, where you got injured, whether you had pre-existing conditions, whether you hurt yourself some other way, you know, a million reasons why they might make that offer, because they know that if they go to trial, there's a chance that they'll get hit for a lot of damages, but they also feel confident that they're not going to pay full value. They'd rather go to trial and shoot for a zero than they would pay you full amount. And that's the origin of settling a workers' comp case. And you know, the nice thing about a lump sum is you can put a decent amount of money in your pocket on a lump sum settlement like that. Now, it won't mean that all your I's are getting dotted and T's are getting crossed with respect to all the damages that your state's workers' comp law says you're technically entitled to, but that's because settlements involve compromise. And one of the most important things a lawyer can do is tell you whether they think that the offer is something you should seriously consider, or whether they recommend it. And that's when you need a good lawyer, an experienced lawyer who knows the law, not just some TV guy who's never been to court, or some young dude who advertises but doesn't really handle cases, has never tried a case, doesn't really know what they're doing. Okay? So anyway, hope that information helps you, and hope you and your family are well. If anyone you know needs help or needs a free consultation with a lawyer after an injury, you can call me anytime, night or day, at 312-500-4500. That's 312-500-4500. If you're not ready to call a lawyer, you can use my 2 free tools, links in the description. Good Case Calculator, completely free to use, and in 20 seconds flat, you find out whether you have a good case or a bad case. Case Cash Calculator tells you what your case might be worth. Same thing, 7 multiple choice questions, free to use, link in the description. You answer 7 multiple choice questions. It gives you a really good idea about what your settlement value might be. As always, I really appreciate you watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. If you have a topic for a video you'd like me to address, please leave it in the comments section. And what else? Oh, if you enjoy my videos and you wouldn't mind helping me out, I've left a link in the description where you can leave me a 5-star review on Google. It's a very competitive market here. I need as many 5-star reviews as I can get to keep up with people who buy reviews from internet companies in the Far East and in Russia and India. Made up reviews, but Google seems not to be able to catch them. So I need real reviews from people who have watched my videos or have used my law firm. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, you can click the link, takes you right to the page for the reviews, hit 5 stars, say a kind word, hit submit. Literally takes you 5 or 10 seconds, but it would be a big favor for me, and I'd really appreciate it. So once again, thank you for watching. I really appreciate you guys. Have a great day, and if I can help you at all, give me a call, 312-500-4500. Thanks very much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.